Intro. Okay, I'm gonna hit it. 3, 2, 1.
John likes tech and lives in Indiana, you know. Kevin likes the Dodgers and talks on the radio. John plays games on Xbox and on his Nintendo, while Kevin runs around LA with his mustachio. It's the Lack of Genius podcast in your ear holes at last. They don't know they're Mars from Venus, that's why it's the Lack of Genius podcast.
Hey, John.
Hey, Kevin.
It's good to see you. As of the recording of this episode, we do not even know if this is technically an episode or not.
Right, yeah. I mean, and, you know, as people may be wondering what's up with the theme song, we've, I guess for the easiest way to put it, we've decided to slow things down a bit.
Oh, well done, John. Well done.
Yeah, I try. Yeah, you know, we've been able to put this out now for over a year, weekly.
Yeah.
And it's been great that we've been able to do that. But in that time, I've had a baby. Well, not me personally, but my wife had a baby.
A baby came out of you, John. Yes. Okay. So that's
Yes.
part A. By the
Yeah,
way, sorry,
that's part A.
I don't want to cut you off, but the slowed theme song is also a reference to an episode where
It is.
we realized that some people listen to it at 1.5 or 2 times speed. So that was a special little thing for them if they listen. That's what the theme song is supposed to sound like. And for the rest of us who listen in normal time, you heard it real slow, and it took a lot of patience.
Yeah.
But John, excellent transition into we're slowing things down. You had a baby. I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, my wife had a baby. I started a new job. You know, life is hectic. And it's not just me. I know Kevin is super busy with his projects and work
Yeah.
and so
Yeah, I came to John because aside from just the projects and things that I work on, which let's face it, I also have to have some sort of like, I need to find balance in my own life and not add on too many things that I can't handle. But through my current job, my on-air job, I was recently offered a position to host a new podcast on their official podcast network. So it'll be, nationally supported by my company. I'll have a co-host, and I'm actually even getting the role of the producer of that show. So it's quite frankly, it's just a career opportunity that I can't pass up. And so there wasn't much doubt in my head that I was going to be moving forward with this. But as I kind of alluded to earlier, when you add things to your plate, it's like, oh, as a person that's trying to be a healthy human being with a balanced life, I need to find places that I can, cut back on things. And I did not want to eliminate this podcast, and that is not what we're doing. We are not eliminating this podcast. I'm really grateful to John that he was willing to find a solution with me to where we're moving to an episode a month for right now. That is our plan. We're gonna release an episode on the second Thursday of every month, because that's when this episode is dropping, that we're not even sure is an episode. Maybe we'll title it episode ? And not even put a number. But
episode A.
Episode yeah, that's a good idea. And we're gonna be doing an episode a month. Of course, if let's say we get a guest lined up, let's say we have a topic that we really want to share, we may drop multiple episodes a month, but we are committing to at least one episode a month. And we know that that's not the best news in the world to hear from a podcast that assuming you're listening, that you love and that you look forward to. And it's not hard. It was not an easy choice or a choice that was fun to come to. But I just hope that you as a listener are able to understand and respect that we are human beings with lives, and we have to make decisions that aren't always fun. But yeah, John, I know I've been rambling on. Did I sum that up pretty well? Do you have thoughts
No,
that you want to share
I
on
think
that?
you did. I think you summed it up well. And I am extremely happy that you're able to do that podcast with your job and get paid more for that doing that. Because I know not having enough money is not fun.
Yeah.
So I fully support that, and I'm glad that us doing this allowed you to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that year of experience just from us doing it has helped with that. So
Thanks, John.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
Yeah.
it sucks, that we're not gonna be doing it every week, but I think in the long run this will allow us to maybe do slightly better episodes,
Yeah.
because we can spend more time on one episode instead of taking that time between four. So I
Yeah.
think I think in the long run things will be better.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, John, so much. There are two things that you said. One is that yeah, doing this podcast has, like, we made it to 1 year. I think that's the first thing that I wanted to acknowledge that you said at the beginning. We did a whole year without missing an episode, which I still almost kind of can't believe that we did that. And that does take a lot of commitment and a lot of time, and I am very proud of that. And that's a big part of why it's like, well, no, I don't want to get
Right.
rid of this thing. Like, I love what we've been able to accomplish, and I love doing this. I love coming on here. I love connecting with people. And yeah, the second thing is that I lost it, but I'm gonna edit it back together. um, uh, Hang on, it'll come to me. Mm. Oh, yes. I just wanted to acknowledge what you said, John, about this podcast helping me get that job. Like, it may not have been something that anyone specifically looked at and said, oh, he's got a podcast. But I know stepping into that job, I have so much more confidence and knowledge and skill set. Like, I am so rarely confident in my life. For those who know me, you may not be surprised to hear that, but the people who don't know me sometimes maybe are surprised to hear that I don't walk around my life with very much confidence at all. And this podcast has given me so much more confidence in my broadcasting and podcasting abilities. And it's a rare feeling for me. So I say that as gratitude for the podcast, for the listeners. But John, man, it's funny because it's almost like I'm treating this like a farewell, where we're very clear that it's not a farewell.
Right.
But I think it's important that we don't have to wait for a goodbye to happen to acknowledge the things that we're grateful for in our lives. And so I'm really grateful that John reached out to me a year and a third ago, and we got to talking, and this podcast is what was born out of it. I've been really grateful and appreciative of your friendship and your co-hosting this. And I love that we've created this thing together, and we're going to keep it going. I'm so glad we can keep it alive.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it going. There's no end date set, so
Yeah.
don't worry. Yeah, so we'll just go from there.
As long, excuse me, wow, that sounded scary. As long as we both lack genius in our lives, John, there will always be a need and a purpose for this podcast. And I got to tell you, John, I'm not going to stop lacking genius anytime soon in my life. So we got plenty of topics to cover, and we have so much to learn, and appreciate you, the listener, for coming along and learning with us.
Oh yeah, we definitely appreciate it. And we love all of your support, both morally, or not morally, but
like figuratively and literally,
and literally, both
emotionally and
emotionally. That's what I was looking for. your emotional support as well as your monetary support for those that have. And we totally get it. If you for those that have been providing support through Patreon, if you feel like you're not getting your money's worth out of that, we get that. We totally get that.
Yeah, we're gonna post something on Patreon because we do have people who support us monetarily, and we understand that those donations started with the understanding that we are doing an episode a week, and so now that we're going down to a month, we certainly do not want anyone to feel obligated to continue making that donation. That's we're essentially employed by you in some ways if you're giving us donations, and if we're doing less work, then we understand, and there will be no hard feelings if you, I won't go as far as to say we encourage you to take your donation away, but I do feel a sense of responsibility to say, like, yes, you can take your donation away because we're not meeting the quota of what you originally signed up for, and I will not even bat an eye at that. So,
nope.
One more thought I'll share is that without sounding like I'm getting on either a high horse or a motivational speaker kind of thing, I just encourage you as a listener to go out and start that project that you have on the back burner, that thing that you've been thinking about doing. If it's a podcast, go for it. If it's an art project, go for it. If it's starting your own business, go for it. Because, John and I started this without any real, hey, we just want to do this thing because it's fun. And you just don't know what's going to come out of it. You don't know what you're going to learn. You don't know what skills you're going to get, and you don't know who you're going to meet along the way, and how that's going to impact your life. And so, I'm just using the example of, wow, I feel very confident stepping into a new job now. So I just highly encourage that. Take that step, make that leap, and go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to so many. I've learned things, that like joggling is a thing. And,
yeah.
And
Barry is an amazing human being. I learned
exactly.
that.
Yes, and a bunch of other things. From all the different guests that we've had. And we, Kevin and I were talking, and we kind of want to maybe transition this into a little bit of where we have a guest every episode.
Yeah, that's going to be our goal.
Yeah. So this is where you as the community can help. If you know people that you think would be really cool to have on the podcast, ask them, be like, hey, would you want to be on a podcast? And then if they say yes, point them to us. And we will gladly, talk to them and, try to get something planned to where we can record with them. So.
Yeah, that's actually exactly how the Quadball episode came about. Where we had one of our patrons, Brooke, suggest a Quidditch episode, and then we started talking, and she pointed me in the direction of someone that lived with her who played Quidditch, and that person put me in touch with Krager, and I thought Krager was an awesome guest, and I learned so much about Quadball. That was one of my favorite episodes of late, just because I knew the fact that it has a whole totally different name now. This is why I love this show, because that was the last thing I was expecting, that Quidditch isn't even a thing technically anymore. It's Quadball. It's still technically a thing, but this sport that they're playing is not. And in fact, the more guests we get, the potential that there's more episodes we're going to be able to have, because look, if we have 2 really good guests in 1 month, we'll say, all right, well, let's make it happen, because we got it to work with. So definitely open to your suggestions and having you be an active part of the show by us, by receiving your suggestions. We'll move forward with them for sure.
I mean, and if you want to be on an episode, and you've got a topic you want to talk to us about, reach out.
Yes.
So
maybe it's your dog. Maybe you really love your dog, and you're like, you know what?
If you can come up with 5 to 10 questions about your dog.
Little Rufus here everyone needs to know about. Look, and my dog's literally in the background right now, Coconut. Well, you can't see, but so yes, let's hear from you. I think we've covered it, and we appreciate you for listening to this episode with us. I think we can wrap it up. Obviously, John, if you have more to say, go for it. But just one more time to express our appreciation and our gratitude to you listening. And we're so excited that we're going to keep moving forward with you along this journey.
Yeah.
All right.
See you next month.
We'll see you in exactly a month. Can't wait to talk to you then. Cool. I think that's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop.